and Coach Beast. And I stand by that.
Oh, that's fine by me. Bum, 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 bum. Check. Testing. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 1, 2.
Sibyllus. Sibyllus.
Sibyllus. Shambhala. Oh, damn. Oh, damn.
Yes.
Well, 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 well. Well, well, well.
Well, you know, you make me wanna meh with my heels up and meh. I don't know.
All right.
I mean, I could redo happy into 'cause I'm crappy.
No.
And alone.
Make sure. Testing. Testing. Levels still don't seem like. Let me play around. I got a new board, and it is possible it ain't doing what I think that it's doing. All right. I don't want to just keep increasing the power either, though. All right. 1 second.
Increase that power. I will mute and listen to you talking about it, even though we're like 30 seconds.
You gonna listen to me doing that? How could you, Tom? Tom.
I could because I care.
Oh, Tom cares. Is that better? The more. Actually, let me check gain. Testing. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. Does my voice still sound warm and soft, as it typically does?
Actually, you sound a little overmodulated.
Ooh, maybe it is. 1 second.
Hey, how do I sound? I'm just testing it with the speakers, or not the speakers, the headphones.
Wait, are you on headphones?
I'm on headphones right now, yeah.
You're okay, a little bit muffled, but cool.
Actually, I want nothing on. Nothing. Wait. Is that better?
Yes.
All right. I think there was an effect turned on there. So.
I think you just needed to enunciate.
Motherfucker. This guy.
This motherfucker.
All right, folks. It is go time on the Commander Shipp show. We have our guests in the background, hooping and hollering, getting some drinks ready, getting there, getting buzzed, and it's about to be a good time. It's about to be a good time. As always, though, we kick the show off with the news. So we're not gonna. I know everyone waiting for that.
Not to rain on your parade, but we don't see Vartan's.
Right. He's
not. Oh, because he's not. He doesn't have video. Because we got a V.
Yeah. We gotta shoot the shit a little bit there, Tom, before we get
the
rest of the folks in there. I'm gonna derobe a little bit. I could have said that better. as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, that ain't the look, man. Deep rock. All right. News.
Won't you be?
Right. This week, we're going to cover all the Borat 2 news from over the weekend. We teased out a little bit with the Rudy Giuliani news from last weekend, but there's been more stuff to come out this past weekend. We'll also go into the issues facing MGM and a potential streaming release for James Bond. So, No Time to Die may not be dead yet. And after the weekly news, we've already been teasing it all week long and all month long, that our guest contributors, Oliver and Vartan, are going to jump in and discuss their favorite horror movies with me. Tom's going to rag on us for our horror loves. Also share a few of his faves as well. He's got a few faves, but mostly going to be ragging on us. And then we are going to reveal the 9 movies we'll be watching this weekend for our Halloween horror movie marathon. So,
9
movies. It's a benefit because horror movies are a little bit shorter, so we picked 8 originally, and then once we got the run times, we were like, yeah, we're fitting another one in here. You know, you could say it's 10 because we moved the thing. We loved the thing so much that we gave it its own 9. But
9, and still it's going to be less time than the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
That makes us feel really good. Surprisingly. Yeah. All right. But with that, the Commander Shipp show starts right now. And first, hey, Tom, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. So today, everybody, I've taken a mood enhancer, so we may see some effects long-term on that one. That should be fun for everyone, especially me.
Yeah. I will be having whiskey later. I didn't want to start. Figured I'd be more professional during the news segment, and then I can get a little more off the wall here later on.
Yes.
Let's see. Let's kick off with, we said Borat 2. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I was at a wedding this weekend. You know, so I was a little.
You were at a wedding?
I was at DJing a wedding this weekend for a close friend. One of my previous dance partners and dance mom, I guess you could also say, got married this weekend in a very small group. But I was in Columbus, Ohio for the weekend. So while I was finishing out my Chicago Film Festival movies, I did not have time to watch Borat. So it was just one that I could not get to. Yeah.
So I did. And actually, I'm still not 100% sure if it's because I get Sacha Baron Cohen better or not, but I thought it was better than the original Borat in many respects.
Some high praise there.
It wasn't as wacky and as shocking, which I think was good. And what was interesting was you could tell that he had a goal throughout this film, whereas in the first Borat, I think he was just trying to capture everything that he could get his hands on in the world of wackiness, and just try to make a story out of it.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the Giuliani moment. We can get to that toward the end. So some things to note. Amazon's. I mean, we were talking in September that Mulan was going to be the thing that would kick off the sphere of streaming movies killing theaters, and before that it was Trolls World Tour. It might be Borat 2. It's already been reported that it's done tens of millions of people have already viewed it on Amazon service, which kicked Mulan's ass from what we've been able to tell from Disney Plus subscriptions and people that viewed it. So I mean, it remains to be seen how this continues throughout the next couple of weeks. But right now, it is the top movie in the U.S. and I got to double check worldwide. But right now, it's the #1 movie in the U.S. by a large margin.
Yep. Hey, it could be a contender for an Oscar. Wouldn't that be great?
But I haven't seen it yet, so maybe there'll be something in there where I'm like, whoa.
In my perfect world, it's going to edge out Sonic.
Oh, man. Oh, Sonic. Come on, man. Little blue hedgehog that could. I believe it. So yeah. So before we get Giuliani, there's still some. There's some other controversies about the babysitter Janice Jones, who ends up watching Borat's daughter in the movie, and some of it involves the pay. So she was only paid $3,600 for her appearance in the film and for what she did. Was flown to additional location in Washington to continue the babysitting scenes. And her pastor was one of the people that encouraged her to take the role. And since
interesting,
which I thought was very interesting, he also has started a GoFundMe campaign, which has raised over $80,000 to help give her a boost basically in salary. Which again, it's kind of interesting. On the one hand, there's the ethical concern of you probably should have paid her more, given what you were going to get contractually from Amazon. But for the folks that are, and she's also expressed being betrayed by what she did for what she was asked to do in the film, or her genuineness thinking of what it actually was. So again, if you feel uncomfortable with that, we can have that conversation. But to say it's completely dishonest, I feel like there's I don't know. It's because of the nature of the film and some of the secrecy for some of the things to be effective, right? Because you can't put the whole thing out there. Because if you did, the film would the movies wouldn't work. Even if you go back to Borat or Bruno or thinking about the other things he's done, if you put the whole cart out there, then the horse is not going to rise. It's just not going to work.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of curious what the standard rate is now for like a smaller part in a film, and how close was that, and how many days were they filming with them? But I mean, flying them out, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because you think about I don't know what her babysitting rate was. Maybe that's what it was for the number of days she did. So in that world, it might have been fair, but knowing what it was actually going to be used for is where it's it's I think ethically, it's you could have at least bumped that up. And then I don't know if we really want to get into NDAs because then you get into a whole nother messy situation, which Hollywood has already been bad about for decades.
Well, and that's actually that's an interesting thought too, because I think you were saying with Borat or Borat type films, he's trying to get genuineness from somebody. So if we're going to pay you for 3 weeks of babysitting or 2 weeks of babysitting, or I don't know I have no idea how much babysitting $3,600 gets you, but if they approach it saying, hey, we want you to babysit, but here's the deal, and this is, get you in on the joke and also pay you a whole bunch more money. Maybe he felt like there was some loss of authenticity with it.
Yeah.
But that is also just like a terrible way of saying we can pay people less. So yes, Sasha, we know that you're watching. So I think whatever bonuses you got from Amazon, you should maybe toss some her way.
Yeah, and maybe he has contributed in the GoFundMe secretly or something. It reminds me of the scene at the end of Ocean's 13 where they know they're going to have to use that guy who's the hotel inspector, and they're like, he's going to go through hell. So it's like, you know what? We're going to make sure he's going to go through hell for this, but we're going to take care of him on the back end because he ends up winning the $13 million, I think, or $11 million at the end. So maybe that was what they could have done is, we're going to pay you this $3,000 for your, or $3,600 for your babysitting here, but then we're going to take care of it in the back end without once it comes out, then hey, we got you. We're going to give you an actual salary for your performance in that. Just if that's how you want to keep the legitimacy, but also be ethically a little bit stronger, a little bit better than where they're at right now.
Give them the old Susan B. Anthony.
Hey, see,
I am both shocked and sad that I remember that.
Hey, I love that movie. It's not perfect, but it's I just love the ocean.
Yeah. So. It's funny because I was talking to somebody about how much they hate heist movies, and I think more and more I do like heist movies. I mean, they're ridiculous, but yeah, a smart heist movie is always pretty good.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're gonna move. Oh, so I guess one last thing. You've seen it.
Yes.
So walk me through the Giuliani thing.
I don't. I mean, it is kind of damning. Basically, they. I don't want to give away too much of the plot, but Borat is sent to USA to basically appease Trump some way by giving him a gift. And originally it was going to be a monkey, but that died. And so Borat and the president of Kazakhstan decided to give him his daughter. And so he keeps on trying to go down the rings of, trying to get to Trump, can't get to Trump, trying to get to Pence, can't get to Pence, and then finally gets to Giuliani. And in order to attract Giuliani, she becomes kind of like a Fox News-esque Tommy Lauren type reporter, and basically does an interview with him at a hotel somewhere, I think in New York, and then takes her back, or she says, "Hey, would you like to?" It was done in a hotel suite, so there was like the main room and then the bedroom. She said, "Why don't we have our drink in the bedroom?" And then that's when the weirdness happened.
Grimy.
Yeah.
Grimy.
And it was kind of Giuliani was mixed between like a friendly uncle to creepy. So he's got nothing to say about Joe Biden anymore.
Yeah. All right. I'll keep an eye for that when I watch it this weekend. Figure out.
Maybe
I'll figure some time out.
Wait, how?
Saturday's
between
dead.
the
Saturday's dead.
Yes.
So Saturday's not happening. So it'll probably be Sunday. We'll figure it out.
Oh dear God, yes. No, you should do that. Wake up at 6 a.m. to watch Borat.
I already have to wake up at, I guess, 9 to get somewhat decent. Make sure the film's ready to go on the server. All right. Anyway. All right.
Yeah.
So let's move to one of the earliest COVID-19 casualties with James Bond. It's already been an interesting journey for this film, for No Time to Die. We'd already had it pushed back to November. Thought that was going to work. And then as it got set that was probably going to move to next year, is when these reports started to trickle out that MGM might have been seriously shopping the James Bond film. Now, MGM quickly came out and said, no, that's not the case. But Apple and Netflix have also
100% that is the case.
And but subsequent conversations have come out saying like, no, that was legit conversations. The initially reported number was around 600 million just for this film, and then we've heard reports of like, well, that was kind of like one of the final numbers. Apparently, might have even started higher than that in the bidding war between Netflix and well, I don't want to say bidding war because I've implied it actually had a open dialogue, whereas this is more of shopping around, so it's not necessarily a bid per se.
Yeah.
In the meantime, MGM is losing $1 million a month the more this movie continues to get delayed. So it's if those numbers increase, like I feel like their hand's going to get forced here pretty soon.
Yeah, I think so. I'm kind of hoping that they wrap this up because within like 2 weeks or before Thanksgiving, because I've always associated Thanksgiving with Bond movies for some reason.
Yeah.
So definitely that would be a good option for them to do that. I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of profitability they would see from Netflix or, other than Netflix has gobs of money, but yeah, they are painfully profitable at this point. They don't have Disney money, but who does? But considering that, yeah, they're doing quite all right, considering that their competition is HBO and Disney.
Yeah, which also we didn't have time. We won't have time in this show, but we're going to have to come back and talk about those HBO Max numbers because, good Lord, they are whooping Apple and Disney's ass for sure. And while they haven't gained on Hulu and Netflix, like that's going to be, they might have cemented themselves as the third spot in a very short amount of time. So.
Yeah, well, I blame Raised by Wolves for that one. But it's a shame too, because like Apple's doing some really good content. I really liked For All Mankind, and I don't know. I'm afraid that's a show that's going to be lost if Apple decides to pull away from the TV market.
And then I also see that they were doing something I saw late, so maybe I'll push this to later. Did someone was making a adaptation of the Foundation series? Isaac Asimov, was that Apple as well?
Yes, I think that is. But also Apple's in trouble with a lot of people because for the first time ever, there will be no Charlie Brown specials during the
Oh
holidays.
gosh, how did we forget? How did we forget about
Because
that?
they bought all the rights, and now you have to have Apple TV in order to do that.
Now they are going to make it free this year, so you can watch the
Okay.
Thanksgiving special and you can watch the Christmas special for free on Apple TV. But I haven't heard how specific. Like, can you just watch it on the site? Do you have to make
Or
an
do you have to
account? Do you have to do a
register?
free
Yeah.
trial? Because if it's that, I could see a lot of people saying like, no, I'm not doing that. Because and that goes way back to our streaming service saturation point. Like, Apple's definitely in the like, if you don't already have Apple, you're definitely not probably jumping over to that. And then if you already have Hulu, Netflix, and now Disney Plus and HBO Max, just it's the odd Apple app. But
Yes. And it also always it just reminds me of the encouragement of the other option, which in personal news, by the way, the power supply on my NAS died. So that's a shame. Yes. But I have a replacement on the way.
Yes. All right. So we're always experimenting with our formats here. So again, we don't have graphics yet. I swear we're working on it. But so hopefully we can have something flash up there nicely next time.
Yes.
Every time we go to a new segment.
Giant gleaming football NFL fonts.
So this is what we're going to call movies in work. So this segment is covering all the set news, new announcements of a movie like coming down the pipe, when someone's gone down to film. So we'll start with one we reported a little while back when Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman snuck down to Australia and started moving families and stuff down there. So it kind of gives us a clue that Thor: Love and Thunder was back in production. Taika Waititi was already back down there. So I'm like, all right, now they're going. It's up. So they've been filming, doing well, and Christian Bale, the unnamed villain up to this point. So we've had some speculations of who he might be, but we still haven't gotten a title, we haven't gotten an announcement yet who he's going to be playing. He's already headed down there to start filming his scenes as well.
I can guarantee you his villain name is going to be On-Set Meltdown. But
oh, just give it. Just,
yeah. That's an inevitability.
Let's see. What's next up? We got an Ollie, but we'll get to him. We'll get to him momentarily. We're gonna keep running through the news. I am excited to see them coming in and getting ready. So I've been teasing it, folks. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
So to answer your question, no, we don't need another Final Destination.
Yeah. So Final Destination has been delayed as far as the filming for that reboot has been delayed a tad. We got a few more delayed reboots to talk about, delays to talk about in just a moment. But yeah, that was my main question. Like, did we really need? And I could have swore we already had a Final Destination reboot for the 3D movie. So.
Yeah, I kind of gave up. Like, Final Destination is like Sharknado or Fast and Furious. They just maybe stop after 4, but.
Let's see. Where are we going next? Zendaya and Tom Holland in Atlanta to kick off Spider-Man 3 filming. I still don't know what's going on. So we've got our multiverse theories on Spider-Man 3, but I still, like, no confirmation. So, like, we know Electro's going to be in it, but other than that, or sorry, when we said Doctor Strange last week as well, but we still don't know, like, what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious to what they're going to do with that, because is this going to be their first film without Marvel, or are they still going to use Marvel?
No, we're still going to be using Marvel. So yeah, even after the little blow up this past summer, they are going to like a still Sony partnership for at least 3 more movies.
Okay, that's good for Sony.
It is good for Sony. Have you looked at the Morbius trailer? It's awful. It's atrocious.
Well, yeah, as I joked in the chat one time when we were talking about what's his face being the poor man's Tom Holland, I think, or not Tom Holland, Tom Hardy, I think.
Logan Marshall Green, Jai Courtney.
after Venom, even Tom Hardy is poor man's Tom Hardy at this point.
Yeah. I don't want to spend too much time on that because then I'm just going to start ranting about the I still feel like it's going to blow up in their face somehow. I don't know when. I don't know.
I'll be with you.
Yeah, I don't know when that powder keg is going to blow, but it's there. So just
because here's how it's going to go. Somebody at Sony is going to insist that Venom get into Spider-Man's universe, and then it's going to piss off Marvel people, or something's going to happen, and then things will blow up from that, and then we'll just have like a Fantastic Four style Spider-Man 4.
Ooh, like the Josh Trank fan four
yes.
stick. No.
Fan four stick.
All right. Following up from that Power Ranger cinematic universe that I really was hoping was a joke last week, they have found they found their writer. So Brian Edward Hill, if you like the Titan series on DC, which I think it's not bad. I like Doom Patrol, but better. But yeah, Brian Edward Hill has been tapped to write the movie reboot. So I think it's going to be the kickoff for that whole new universe, TV shows and stuff like that.
No Power Rangers.
No, not bad. Not
Thank
bad
you.
At all.
Thank you.
All right. I am. So actually, I'll do this one first. Got any Animorph fans out there in the crowd? Maybe.
Of the 2 people watching us right now.
Hey, no, we got 6 people watching this.
Oh.
Hey, I can see all. No, and it's totally fine. We tend to have more people watch it after the fact than live, but it's totally all right.
That's true.
Actually, let me take one pause. Stephen York gives you condolences on your last dying out. Says his is barely functioning, moving to Google Drive. 2 terabytes, pretty affordable per year bit compared to running my own backup. Yeah, but how many
Stephen,
movies...
I'll talk to you offline about how big my dad is.
What am I at right now? 32 terabytes. God. Ugh. Don't want to. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad and depressing. So the Christina actually I just butchered
Animorphs.
Animorphs. The original writers.
Christina Aguilera apparently is in.
No, get out. Get out. The original writers for Animorphs have left the movie out of creative differences. So Catherine Applegate, sorry, Christina Applegate popped in my head. I'm like, that's not right. That's the actress. Michael Grant have left. And I'm kind of getting some last Avatar feelings about this. The only difference being though is like Animorphs was popular 90s, early 2000s. So we've already kind of missed the window when this would have been hot, new hotness. And like, is there still a fan base for Animorphs? Like, there's, as much as I want to be like, respect the writers' creative decisions and stuff to let them write the screenplay, my other thought was like, who's gonna go watch this movie? Are they hoping this is gonna kick back or start up Animorph book sales again or something? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, this sounds like, making a Beyblade movie or something like that.
Hey, but at least Beyblade would have some good OVAs. Some good like if they just wanted to do a Beyblade feature film, that's where I would be like, nah, I'm good.
So the next one, we're gonna miss you, Commander Shipp, once you take this job.
Yeah.
Because I know you're applying for it. You better apply for it.
Yeah. So Marvel is looking for black writers to join the Blade movie, and it's not until fall 2022, so I'm assuming I'd have to start wrapping that screenplay up, or get everybody in the room, start wrapping that up, have it done sometime, probably in the middle of 2021. But yeah, it's an active search. So Hollywood Reporter got some information on that. So definitely be trolling the Marvel Disney websites and get your name out there. If you're a black screenwriter already living out in Hollywood, like get on that. And if you
start talking to people.
Get on the phone. Get on the phone. Damn. But I mean, I'm glad they are making that proactive push for that. Right. They're not just assuming like, oh, we got the in-house talent to do this. It's like, no, we're gonna go make sure that we get the people that are gonna be able to write this a lot better.
Who's available? Colin Jost? Okay.
Hey, did you show me the swapped jokes between them? No, I think it was Adam Wilkerson. Colin Jost and Michael Che's
Michael Che, yeah.
Christmas gift to each other where they swap jokes. So maybe Colin could do it. This guy was like, I got to put on my Michael Che hat. And
I don't know. After seeing the what was it, the Africa sex tourism bit on last week's SNL, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not even gonna touch that.
Yep.
We're not even gonna touch that. All right. And then the last little blitz we're gonna do, Hocus Pocus 2 original cast confirmed. I'm upset. I don't need this. I just don't. I don't think anyone needs this. I'm pretty sure the Sanderson sisters died at the end of the movie. So if you're gonna make some magical bullshit, bring them back.
I mean, it is called Hocus Pocus. So
soulless cash grab.
Hey,
at least Disney's living up to their namesake, so I'll give them that.
Maybe there'll be ghosts like Obi-Wan or something like that.
Ghosts like Obi-Wan?
Yeah, like.
No, continue. I want to see where you're gonna go.
If they're dead, and they're in the house that they died in. This is I guess I'm doing a treatment right now. Okay. They died in the house, and then this kid, let's say like it's a 13-year-old girl with her bratty little 10-year-old brother, and they move into the house, and then she finds a box up in the attic, and then she opens the box, and then they're all glowy and blue, like Obi-Wan and Anakin and Yoda at the end of Jedi, and then they teach them how to be witches.
I'll allow it. For the Shang-Chi fans out there, you'll be glad to know that filming has wrapped on that successfully with no positive COVID tests. So I'm glad to see there's some success happening there. Although when things are going to release, I don't know if the positive tests even matter at this point. It's not to be indifferent towards the tests. And we're so backed up with movies. I don't know how 2021 is even going to function. But we'll get to that later next year.
Yes.
All right.
Just keep in mind, everybody, that you can rent out an AMC theater in select theaters.
Was it like $95?
Yeah, it's stupidly reasonable.
That's a hell of a deal.
Yeah.
Shoot, I might do that.
I'm probably gonna do that.
That's what oh man, if we could have had everybody here for the marathon, that's what we should have done. Dang it. Missed an opportunity. All right, so what do we got? I'm going to piggyback off the Blade conversation we just had, though. Michael B. Jordan has been busy. He's confirmed that he's going to produce the Static Shock movie, and Creed 3 is happening, and he's going to be in the director's chair for it, which I thought was very. So he's still going to be starring in it, but he's going to be in the director's chair for this one. And recently, he was talking with Hollywood Reporter about his drive of like he wants to be he wants to help drive that diversity push. So he doesn't want to just be the person being hired to be that diverse cast member. He wants to be seen like, what can I be doing proactively in the production space to help create this? And I think that's just, I'm glad he's stating his intention and making it known what he wants to do. And now he's getting opportunities to like put his money where his mouth's at.
Yep. I think that's pretty good. I want to see more of that. He's using his star power. And it's a good space now for him to do that. like I know that Denzel tried to do some of that and had some success. I know that other actors and directors have tried to do that, but I think that he will be much more successful, standing on the shoulder of giants.
All right, let's talk 2 quick movie delays. If you've got any Tomb Raider fans in the house, I wouldn't call this newest Tomb Raider the best video game movie adaptation. I think Sonic's winning that like far and away right now. Like, and I don't think that's like a recency bias either.
Oh God!
What, Tom?
I don't know. Just saying Sonic is the best video game adaptation is like saying Super Mario's was as well.
No. Okay. Look. Sorry, you might have to come back. You know how I hate listicles, and how much we had to fight even getting into listicle mode, the horror thing we're about to do. But we might have to come back and actually have that video game adaptation conversation, and like really just list it out. Get all the pen on paper. What are they? What are the best? What are the worst? Just merely shout on Resident Evil.
And yeah, too many, and no one has made a Shinobi movie yet, which is I mean, who doesn't like ninjas?
But then I guess we could just watch ninja movies. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's why you haven't got that as an adaptation, because we just
everybody's tired of ninjas.
Answered your own question. But yeah, Tomb Raider 2 is going to come out next year. We don't have a date anymore. It's just been pushed off the calendar. So so when filming is going to resume for that, I have no idea. And then Jennifer Hudson's biopic for Aretha Franklin has been moved to August 2021. So at least it still has some date on the calendar. Not too worried about that though, because even if it can't make it out in theaters, that's probably a really good streaming candidate as well. So that'd probably be fine. Cool. Tom, did you know there's a Children of the Corn remake?
No, I did not. Yet one other movie that didn't need to be remade, but
if you want to see it though, and you live in the Florida area, that's the only way you're going to see it for a little bit, because it's only in drive-in theaters in Florida. I've been trying to dig down why it's only Florida drive-ins, considering there's been so many drive-ins that have reopened in the U.S. to try to help support movies that have been coming out, and I haven't gotten an answer to that yet. So maybe I'll come back and figure out what's going on. I'll let y'all know.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you can think of is Google Florida Man, and they figured this should be just inspiration for them. I don't know. That's a really weird choice.
Yeah. So one last thing I guess we got 2 last things, and then we'll get to our horror list. So we'll take a little bit of break before we jump into that. One, I was excited to hear a pretty emphatic decision James Gunn had before he took on the Suicide Squad, and one of that was creative control over who dies. So he didn't want studio intervention on. Now, even though he says this, I still wonder, like, okay, but if you decided to go Harley Quinn, how much would they have fought you on that? So I don't know how much I believe him when he says like everyone had an 80% chance of dying in this film, and him saying that he had full carte blanche to do what he wanted. It's like, but
yeah.
But he seemed. I mean, I don't take James Gunn to be a liar about that. So maybe this execs gave him 2 names, and were like, so long as it's not these 2 names, you can.
Yep.
You can have your.
Listen, we're double downing on Michael Jai White. And so Mr. Boomerang, Captain Boomerang, needs to survive.
I mean, I want to see Michael Jai White in more stuff, particularly more mainstream stuff, and not just like his karate action films, those are great, but I'd like to see him in more mainstream stuff. So, yeah, protect him. Put his name.
Listen, we're done with Margot Robbie. We can't. Michael Jai White. That's it.
Cool. And our last one before we start our favorite horror movies. Tom, you're quite the Amari Hardrick fan, right? From Power and.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's in a new horror film called Spell. So he's in a small airplane taking his family back from a vacation. Plane crashes, wakes up. He's in this. It's almost in like a misery kind of situation, where this woman is claiming that her voodoo powers are able to save him and his family, save their lives. So it's a classic trying to survive this person who's got you in captivity and escape the house with his family kind of situation. And that will be comes out this week. It will be on Hulu, along with another movie, Bad Hair, which came out. Sorry, it came out last week. We talked about it for like 2 seconds. Diving into black weave and hairstyle culture in a horror setting. So I haven't had a chance to watch that yet because I'm still in festival mode. But I'll definitely be checking those two out this weekend, or probably Sunday, not Saturday, since we got a bunch. We're doing a lot in the next couple of days.
Yeah. You're trying to shoe in like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag this week.
That's right. That's right. And don't you dare forget it. All right, folks. We're going to take a quick break. So we'll leave the screens up. We're going to be doing some switch arounds to get the folks on here. Take a quick break, and then I'm going to have everybody back on, and we're going to talk our horror movie list and reveal the marathon movie list as well. Bum, ba-da-dum, bum, bum, bum. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Okay. The only thing is we're getting some feedback.
It's interesting because you're the only one we have feedback on. Or maybe I'm lying. I'm watching the levels here.
Testing 1 2.
Hey. Interesting.
Testing 1 2.
Did it stop?
That's not too bad.
Did it
Hey,
stop?
everybody out there in Facebook land, this is what a sound check sounds like, and now it's back.
Okay. Wait, so you said it made you sound far away?
That's what they said, yeah.
Could I hear you real quick? Let me test that.
Hold on.
You didn't believe us, Kenny?
We're not professionals like him.
Oh, I mean, that's fair.
Okay, I'm talking, and now Vartan should talk.
Okay, I'm talking now.
So what I would do is on your app, just see if you can change where the mic is. See if you can change it to your phone mic.
How do I do that?
There should be like a little gear at the bottom.
It might be 3 dots or a gear
Or,
somewhere on
yeah,
there.
either 3 dots or gear.
Yeah, so just see if you can do that real quick before we... All right. And thank you for bearing with us, folks. We're just... Mm-hmm.
Or 3 dots, then a gear, actually, it looks like. Yep.
I clicked on it, but it doesn't have any settings for me.
What did it show?
Shows nothing. It just says report a problem.
Damn.
Well, we do have a problem.
It's quite all right. All right. So Vartan, what I'll probably have you do is just mute until you're ready to talk. If you
Okay.
So because you do sound better with the headphones off, so let's just do that. Just make sure you're mute before, until you're ready to talk.
Cool. I'll take the headphones off then.
And then if you feel like you're not getting in on the conversation, just give me like kind of wave the hand. That way I'll try to make sure I manage it and tag people in. But if you feel like you're not getting in, just give me like a physical. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll just raise my hand.
Yeah. Cool. And then we should be good to go. All right, folks. It's the moment we've been teasing for ever since Prometheus. Yeah, because we kind of went on spitballing it, and then it really came together at like kind of shooting the shit after Prometheus, and then really solidified it. So I'm excited. The appointed day is here. If you have not checked our Facebook, you know that. If you have not checked our Facebook, it was work to come up with this list, and not in a bad way at all. I just mean, but you're asking a bunch of horror fans to try to pare down. Like, I think we talked about if it had just been a sci-fi horror movie list, that would have been difficult. It'd been just as difficult as what we did here. If it had been like, for me, if it had been like Italian horror, I still would have been fucking pissed. But I'm really excited about the list we put together here. Before we get going, Vartan, Ollie, thank you for participating, giving us your time to be able to develop this list, and just like get the insights you're about to give us. So we appreciate that. Love bringing in extra horror fans on it. Tom, I am excited to hear what you're going to rebut us on and what.
It may not be exciting. It may just be absolutely boring. Who knows?
All right. My only request is just don't be an ass. All right. So with that said, I think we just go down at least the Friday night and the Saturday marathon list first, and before we get into our individual lists, can we kind of talk about which ones overlapped and where we struggled to put something on the list. And sometimes it might have just been someone throwing a thing out and it hit the wall. It's like stuck to the wall, and we're like stuck to the wall enough in the chat, But all right, so let's just Friday night, The Thing. It was on a bunch of our lists, or we kept it off because other people already had it, so we didn't repeat. Classic John Carpenter. In some of the debate, also, if I remember right, we were trying to debate which John Carpenter movies to get in there. So once we kind of settled on The Thing, we were going to give it its own night. That also helped, even though some of us still put them in other parts of our list for the ones we're going to watch. To help make it a little bit easier. So thoughts on The Thing. Yeah, go ahead, Bart.
I'm gonna have to be super polite because of my audio issues, but I recently rewatched The Thing, and I have to say, it is a perfect movie. It is like it may not be the best movie ever made, but it is pitch perfect from beginning to end. It's like Mad Max Fury Road. There's no fat on that movie. The special, the practical effects or what everyone talks about, they're amazing. The cast is amazing. I think it was a unanimous choice. Someone asked me on another thread what my favorite movie was by decade, and I was like, I think it could be the best of the 80s, if not one of the best films ever made. It's just really, really fucking good, and it encapsulates what I love about horror films is that it's also unpredictable. You don't know who's the monster. You have a vague sense that there's a main character, but you also know that it might be a fake out and maybe he's the monster. And that's one of my favorite things about horror in general is you kind of don't know is it one of those movies where everybody dies, nobody dies, like who's gonna die? You don't get that in a lot of other genres. Um, and so yeah, I love everything about the movie. I think if we watched it by 5 minute chunks, you could find something to love in each chunk. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah.
I would go as far as to say it's the best horror movie ever made. I didn't include it on my list because everyone else had it on their list, and so rather than having space on my list, which where it would have been, I just decided that this. Everybody, people have already suggested it, and I'm going to back this as something we watch no matter what, and it's just perfect as a film. Like it's everything about it is great. The performances are all great. The music is fantastic. The set, everything just works. And it's so wild that I've seen things like apparently like the reviews at the time said that the special effects were bad. And I still don't understand. Yeah. And I think it's because so E.T. came out and the next week the Thing came out. And so, if you've ever wondered why the Thing did poorly when it first came out and nobody knew about it, it's because no one knew about it because they're like, "Oh, this is a mean alien. I don't want to see this. I'm going to just go watch ET again." And so that's why the movie wasn't a success. And so I guess if you're comparing it to like ET,
Spielberg.
I guess, or like a big budget, then okay. But like you need only look at where we've come, like with horror movies, especially. Those special effects are better than anything that we get now. They're better. Like, and I don't understand how you could say that they look worse. That they at that time, how you could even say that they were bad special effects because they aren't. There's one questionable thing in the entire film, in my opinion. Towards the very end, there is a stop motion special effect, and that is literally the only thing in the entire film that I think could be scoffed at a little bit. And we're talking a shot that's maybe 3 seconds long. It's tiny. It's a tiny thing in this fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And I nothing but good things to say about it. I love this movie so much, and I'm happy we're gonna watch it.
Yeah. Tom, anything to chime in?
Every time I thought about watching The Thing, I just said, you know what, I'm going to put on ET instead.
Good Lord. Something I think that else is good to note is that Alien had just come out 2 or 3 years before that. So I wonder if there had been some fatigue from Alien and like Alien clones to where the Thing on top of ET, like trying to change back to like, we're going to go friendly Alien. I wonder if there's like 2 forces that were at work there of like the ET effect of a good alien and then just like some fatigue from Alien, especially before Aliens would come out in 86.
Yep.
Cool. All right. I won't spend too much more time on that because we got a long thing. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I was gonna say since I'm the hater in the group, why don't I kind of shush us along on certain things will you guys wax? So why don't we go into the marathon? Every single one of the films in this marathon are films that somebody mentioned. So let's save the thought circle until that point so that person can talk about that film and why it made the list. So Saturday Marathon, we start off, this is in chronological order, correct, Kenny?
Are you talking about the order we're going to watch? Yes.
Yes. So this starts bright and shiny in the morning with Jason 6. Then Suspiria, or just Sus, as we like to call it now. A Dark Song, Scream. 28 Days Later, because you can't do this without a zombie film. Wreck, House, The Lighthouse, and almost unanimous choice was Event Horizon. And then we close it out with the classic Terror Vision. So yeah, each one of these films came from one of us, and I guess since I'm first on the list, I will start. And first, I'm going to give a little thing about horror movies. I don't like them. I really don't. I think they require the absolute stupidity of most of the characters that are in the film. I like how most of them are all like not even making eye contact with the camera while I'm doing this. I think that most of them are just they are the definition of B movies in a lot of ways, and a lot of horror movies are, and we kind of elevated them into this cult status as these amazing things, and it's just kind of fascinating because like I get so tired real quick of certain tropes within them, but and also I always get pulled out from the movies as well because like I'll start with Event Horizon, which is the first one on my list. That was actually good in some ways. It was very entertaining. I like the idea of sci-fi being a bit horror-ish because space really is scary. But it's not scary monster scary. It's you're going to die in a vacuum scary, which they could really do a good horror about. The thing that pulled me out of Event Horizon is like one of those tropes about like demonic situations is somebody's always talking in Latin, which is just dumb. Why do demons like Latin?
Because it's a reflection of the Catholic Church. We've been over this.
No, but why not Aramaic? Why not ancient Babylonian? Why not Sumerian?
Hey, there's some occult Babylonian stuff. All right.
Yes, but few and far between. And the other thing is like Event Horizon, they start showing like this demon dimension, and like people are getting strung up on barbed wire, and there's like knives and castles and everything else. I'm like, who's making all this stuff in this demon dimension? Who lights the candles? Who's in charge of that? Is there like a lesser demon that has to light these candles?
Yes.
And like, so I the idea, kind of like how we talked about with how we make android, or how sci-fi films try and loft androids, because of limitations in how they can do characters and stuff like that. You can do cool CGI robots, but usually it was just a person in a robot suit. I think that a lot of times with horror films, people try too hard and go back to tropes that just kind of, I don't know, pull it out. But I'll quickly go through my list as the hater in the room, and let the people who love this talk about it. So Terror Vision is something that stuck with me as a kid when I first saw it. To me, this is kind of quintessential in horror movies because it's super campy, it's super stupid. I'm not 100% sure that the director was in on the joke, but it was somewhat scary at the time when I saw it. I wanted to be the kid who like was militaristic with his grandpa, but I grew out of that. But it still holds up as campy fun. The next one I had was Nightmare on Elm Street 3 because it's named Dream Warriors, and it's about a bunch of nerdy kids who it's actually like South Park's anime episode where they are a bunch of dorky loser kids, but in their minds and in their dreams, they were powerful people.
That's surprisingly not a half bad description for that movie.
Dark Night of the Scarecrow is another one that I saw as a child, and I always thought that was kind of interesting of the way that they killed people. They drowned somebody in a grain silo. Like, that one always stuck with me. It's someone dramatically dying while being consumed by corn. Poltergeist, I think, is one of the best horror films in a lot of ways. It deals with the unknown. It doesn't try. What I liked about it is that even watching it like 2 or 3 years ago, it didn't pull me out of the film with trying to make things scary. It just kind of made you scare yourself more so than shocking you with visual things. The Fly is good. It's good sci-fi. It's a great story about how science can go terribly wrong. The Signal, I thought, was a fantastic film. That one did not actually, that one did not fall to a lot of the tropes that and traps that I think that most horror films fall into, other than the bad decision of hunting down some random message on the internet or something like that, which started the whole film. Teeth I put on here because this one I know was in on the joke of the whole concept of a woman who has teeth down there, and and she's in high school, and she's navigating high school, but also with teeth down there, and it's kind of amazing how they play that out. And then the last one that I have is Wicked City, which is like a late 80s, early 90s anime about a dark dimension that tries to invade Earth every once in a while.
Just every
that
once
one,
in a while. Nonchalantly.
Yeah, every once in a while. It happens. And then there's this anointed one who will save them from it with their gun as they get attacked by spider women who have also teeth in their vagina. There's a trend and a theme in my list, apparently, that I didn't quite. But yeah, like Wicked City, I think is a good, fun anime. And since I saw that Vartan included anime, I threw this one in as well because I was running out of ideas.
Vartan, do you want to? Yeah. Do you have any comments on Tom's list?
Yeah, I was gonna say in general, I liked everyone's lists. Everything I've seen, I agreed with. I think I understand why Tom doesn't like horror films. I'm a big hipster, so I think I believe I could show him films that were like, they're not like other horror films, man. But we were talking about heist films, and I think once you get to love a genre, you kind of love even the conventions of the genre. And I think that's where we are at. We're probably like, if I was going to convince Tom that horror movies are good, I'd have to show him the best of the best. But like for me, I just watched The Haunting the other day, and I'm like, man, there's like this lady who's like, I never stay in this house after dark, and no one in town can hear you scream. And she repeats that 5 different times, and nobody thinks it's weird at all. And I'm just like, I love it. It's a harbinger. It's the harbinger trope. Everybody's a fucking idiot. Nobody thinks it's weird that this mansion is the host to a scientific sleep study. Everyone's so fucking stupid. It's the thing. It's like if you love romantic comedies, you love that moment where the guy gives the big impassioned speech. If you love heist films, the best part of a heist film is when they get the crew together. If you love boxing films, the best part is when he loses the first fight and has to train for the second fight.
Montage.
Gonna need a montage.
Yeah, the training. Like, I've seen boxing movies where the training montage could be like 20 minutes long. I wouldn't get sick of it. I love genre film.
Well, you need the right song for it, though.
You do need the right song. But no, I like what I've seen on Tom's list. I'm excited to see Terror Vision. I think Event Horizon is great. That was unanimous. I think The Fly is a really, really good movie. I think I would argue that recent events have shown that we have underestimated people's capacity to act stupid in life-threatening situations. It's easy to make fun of people. I always have this thing I say where like people in horror movies don't know they're in horror movies. They don't know they're not supposed to have sex or go into the basement or visit the old quarry. Like you got to cut them some slack. But now we know that people, when given ample warning, will still act like fucking idiots. So I think we've overestimated humanity in the way we judge horror films.
Gosh, it hurts.
But I just say real quick, I liked everybody's list. There was a lot of crossover, and I liked everything everybody picked that I've seen.
Ollie, your thoughts?
I agree. I really like. There's at least 2 movies on this list that cross over with my list, and which I'll get to obviously, but I think that Tom, for being a hater of horror, his list is not a bad list, as ironic as that is, I suppose. I think Poltergeist is great, and especially since it was secretly directed by Steven Spielberg, is one of my favorite things because oh, I just blanked on his name. That he directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he directed this one. I forgot his name for some reason just now, and I feel bad. Toby Hooper. Yeah. At the same time, Toby Hooper has talked about where he basically did nothing behind the scenes of the movie. Because Spielberg was basically doing everything,
So he collected a paycheck.
But he didn't put his name on it. He let Toby Hooper put his name on it. And Toby Hooper's like, this wasn't my idea. I didn't do this. And so he's on a commentary for the movie, and it's like, I didn't really do any of that.
Like, whenever you see that Steven Spielberg's Presents bullshit on the front of a DVD cover, it probably means he intervened more than you think he did.
That's why, like, the first Transformers, while all those movies are bad, that's why the first one is like watchable, was because Spielberg basically was like Michael Bay.
Just go over there. I got you a chair. It's in that cage over there. But it's a good Michael, list. You think this would be a good idea? Well, my friend Oscar disagrees.
Oscars.
Yeah.
Oscars family.
I thought I was just looking up Oscar stuff. I couldn't remember. I think he only won one at that time. Maybe no, he hadn't even won one yet. I don't think.
He was just that arrogant and confident in his speech or so.
Oh well, that's true. I think because I don't think he won until Schindler's List, if I remember correctly, which is about 10 years later.
Yeah, I think I
could be mistaken.
I think so. Definitely agree on. So I know we had crossover from Event Horizon. Poltergeist was another one that I was really close to putting that one on mine, and I'm actually surprised I didn't put it on my honorable mentions. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But I love how that house reacts, the special effects in the house and everything they pull off in that. The goo, like the ectoplasm and all that stuff, like when Carolyn is coming out, or I guess twice, because when they're trying to pull her out. And that final like the countdown to the end of the movie, when like shit is like, it's over now, the spirits are like, it's like, we're gonna consume this house back into the void. Like, I think it's like one of the best filmed scenes in cinema history. Yeah, it's just great. You didn't move the graves. You moved the headstones, but you didn't move. Craig T. Nelson, bug-eyed.
Right after that, where he goes, why? He says why so high pitched that I laugh every time, even though it's so good. I love it.
And that's how you know it's a Spielberg film, because the bad guy's got to get his comeuppance right there. It's always like 2 minutes from the end of the film. They've either got a face melt or be shooken, or like chucked off a cliff. All right. I think we're ready to. Vartan, you ready?
Yeah, we'll move on to Vartan.
Yeah.
You get to unmute yourself. Don't have to even raise your hand.
This is hard for me not to talk all the time. You guys should appreciate that.
I mean, feel free to unmute and just do the thing.
No, you guys said everything I would say about Poltergeist. I think it's a classic. It scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Yeah. So I'll go through my list really quickly. I will say this is not my top 10 of all time list. If I made a list of just my favorite films, it would be heavily weighted towards modern films, like the hipster comment I said. So I tried to theme my list a little bit. So I put 20 Days Later on there because that's been my favorite film. It has been my favorite for a long time. I think it's an amazing zombie flick. It's got something a lot of films I love need to have, which is amazing sound design. Like, the soundtrack is fucking incredible. The final song that plays when he rushes back to the house gives me chills every time. I've seen it 20 times. It's well acted. It's riveting. It's got legitimate moments of suspense. And also, when I was making this list, I was like, we got to have a zombie film, right? And it was hard to pick between this and Day of the Dead and Return of the Living Dead. So I was like, those are my bracket. Those would be the other ones I picked. And I'm also glad I got 4 movies off my list on the final list. I'm really happy about that.
All right.
I'll keep going.
No, I meant you're showing up there, huh? All right.
I'm not trying to do it. I'll move down really quickly. I'll explain all of them, and I'll loop back around to a dark song because I have the most to say about that. But I picked Tucker and Dale because it's, I think, the funniest horror comedy made, and it's the smartest about horror tropes.
Great deconstruction.
I really think, yeah. Like, if someone's like, I don't like horror films, I'm like, let's watch Tucker and Dale. It's all about making fun of horror films. It's fucking great. I picked, to me, Devil's Rejects is like, it's proof that Rob Zombie is a bit of a fluke because I hate almost everything else he's done. But it's also, it's whenever I host my own horror movie marathons, it's the last movie I show. I'm like, if you can handle the shit, this movie is extremely disgusting and disdainful. Like, the serial killers are the heroes. It's about as fucked up as it gets, I think, in American cinema. But also it's well acted, it's interesting, it's ridiculous, it's got great sound design as well. And I had to put a Takashi Miike film in there, so I went with Ichi the Killer, which, once again, in brackets, could also be Audition, but if you read about Audition, it ruins the movie, so that's why I put Ichi the Killer on there. That movie to me is like, if you think you've seen everything and you can't get nauseous in a movie anymore, I would tell someone to watch Ichi the Killer. And those are the only circumstances I would ever recommend that movie. Otherwise, I would tell people never watch this movie. Ever. Friday the 13th Part 6, we agreed on, so there might be more talk about that, but I think it's the best Jason movie. It's got the best blend of, like, it's pretty good as a movie, it's fucking hilarious, and it's got the best kills. There's a scene where he punches someone so hard his fist goes through his body. And I will say, if there's a short list of movies where someone punches someone so hard their fist goes through them, they're all films I like to watch. I put The Thing on there because, like we talked about, it's a perfect movie. It's probably the best movie of the decade. If someone told me it was their favorite movie, I wouldn't even argue with them. And then my animated pick was Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. It's a phenomenally gorgeous movie. It is so good looking. It's got perfect sound design. It's a great vampire film. That's also why I have Stakeland on here. The reason I have Stakeland is after the whole, for a while there, the sexy vampire trend was really big. Yeah, and I remember I was bitching to people for years where I was like, I want to see a vampire film where vampirism is portrayed as a deadly virus that turns people into monsters, and it's legitimately terrifying. And then Stakeland came out, and I'm pissed they took it off Netflix because it was easy to watch for the longest time. But that's exactly what that movie is. It's a terrifying movie where vampirism is a virus that turns people into monsters. There's like cults that worship the vampires. There's people just trying to survive. There's the main character is known for acting intelligently, and he helps another kid who doesn't know what he's doing. So you've got smart people acting intelligently in a horror film, which is rare. It's an all-around great underviewed film. I almost picked it as the one I wanted to show people, but my other pick was even less viewed. And then The Witch, I think, probably is the best film of the last 10 years, period. It's gorgeous. It's haunting. It's brilliantly acted. It's phenomenally well written. I don't think there's anything like, it's another one of those movies where if someone told me they don't like horror films, I would show them The Witch. But the reason A Dark Song is my favorite pick, it's got the best sound design of any film I've ever seen. And whenever I show it to people, they generally agree. It's got an amazing soundtrack. It's also got a very interesting story because it's, in a lot of ways, what you hate about horror films is answered in this question. Like, why did people stay inside the house? Well, in this movie, it's because they're trying to perform a magic ritual that on purpose can accidentally summon demons, and they're prepared for that. They go willingly into the darkness, and so their decisions aren't stupid or unprecedented, And the thing they do is also like a real magical spell that you can look up, which is kind of interesting.
Historical
But
precedents.
yeah, there's like people who will risk and do this ritual, which requires like backbreaking meditation, and there's a lot going on. But basically, it looks great. It sounds amazing. The two main characters are incredible, and there's no yeah, the characters don't act stupid. Like the reason they go towards danger is because they acknowledge at the very beginning that's the whole point. What they're doing is opening up a channel where bad things might come in, and they're prepared for that. Um, and so that one is actually my number one. Like if people hate horror films, I show them that movie, and they usually are like, "I still hate horror films, but I like that one." and that's why I had to get it into the marathon list.
Oh yeah.
It could be somebody's Islands in the Stream.
Okay, you got to
What?
explain that one.
Because there are a lot of people that hate country, but you play them Islands in the Stream, they'll like that. It's their gateway drug to country music.
I usually do some 9 to 5 Dolly Parton, and then
Okay.
get them to other Dolly Parton, and then so. But I guess
For me, it would be Islands in the Stream, and then to see if they can go a little bit deeper, The Gambler.
I'm surprised you wouldn't just say like some Johnny Cash, because nobody hates Johnny Cash.
Oh, there's some people that hate Johnny Cash, and we call them monsters.
I'm astonished, but
Yeah.
I was going to say that if anybody cares to, I would check out my honorable mentions list, because it was very hard paring this list down. It's a 40, 50 movie list. And I would say this, most of my picks are from the last 15 years. I'm not even that good of a horror classicist. And it still was impossible to put together 30 films and pare that down to 10. If I had a better knowledge of classic horror films, I would have been totally wrecked for this list.
But we all know that you don't believe that anything good was made before 2004 anyway, right?
That's true, yeah. That's my cutoff.
Whoa.
Which technically means that you, who was made before 2004.
I mean,
Damn.
I wouldn't disagree with that either.
Yeah.
That's hurting all of us, man.
Yeah. No, I'm in that pile of shit as well.
All right. Ollie, you want to take a crack? What do you think about Barton's list?
I think it is another very good list. There's some really good stuff on here. The Witch is just so strange. It's basically like a period drama that is hiding a horror movie inside of it, and I love that. And I think that there's a few I will say I have not actually seen. Like I haven't seen Vampire Hunter D, Bloodlust, or Stakeland, or Ichi the Killer, but I've heard what you've said about Ichi the Killer, that it's like if you still want to feel nauseated and projectile vomit watching a movie, that you could watch this one. So for that reason, I've avoided it probably. But I don't know. And the same thing, Audition as well. I've been like, I don't know. It seems very sad, but regardless, it's a very solid list. And I'm actually really, really excited to see A Dark Song with what you've said and how positive you've been about it. It sounds fantastic, and I'm really excited to watch it.
I enjoyed a lot of Barton's. All right. I was gonna say the only thing I have not seen. Same thing on Ichi the Killer. Haven't seen that. I've read a review of it. It was also a little apprehensive on diving into it. I think I will eventually make my way around to it. Definitely agree on your criticism on The Devil's Rejects, even though I did put the Rob Zombie Halloween as one of my honorable mentions, just because I feel like I think it was like a nice attempt, and I realized the movie's not perfect at all. But when I originally watched it, I'm like, this was a good try. It was good. It was a good shot. I think there's a lot of people that would have tried to do a Halloween reboot and have just been absolute garbage. And I do think the rating it gets is a little too low. I'm like, I wouldn't have put that in the 20s. I think it's right around like 50s or 60s if you wanted to score it. Cool. We already said about Tucker and Dale's deconstruction. I love genre deconstructions and when they're done really well and understand like I forgot who wrote Tucker and Dale, but that means they knew the horror genre inside and out to get that to not only write those jokes but to have them land that well, right? It's not just about being absurd. It's like, no, you get it and you know how to like, how are we going to get this to a point to where it will also be moving along and be funny? So I love it. And then 28 Days Later, the John Murphy score, man, God, I could nerd on movie scores for a while, so I'll stop myself before you get too far on that. So.
Also, the use of the song by Godspeed You, Black Emperor, in the movie and in the trailer is so good. It's one of the best music pieces. I know it wasn't written for the movie. I don't think it was written for the movie, but it's so good, and it's used in the movie, and then the trailer is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a solid list, even though I think there's like 3 or 4 that I've seen. The Vampire Hunter D series is always great. It's a solid thing. I honestly question people. I'm looking at you, Kenneth, who make a horror movie list and don't include either a Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street reference into their list. Yep.
I'll explain why when I get to mine.
No, actually, I think I know because Candyman's on there, and it's kind of in that same school in some ways. So at least that was my thought process about your brain.
Maybe. We'll get to it.
We'll find out. You're going to say no, and then it's going to be that. You're going to pull a J.J. Abrams on us. I am kind of curious to see about A Dark Song, and I think I saw Ichi the Killer. I was drunk at Kuma's Corner downing a giant burger, and they had that playing at the bar.
What?
And at one point, yeah, like the original Kuma's Corner after like 10 o'clock at night. There's another place that does this with 70s porn, but Kumas will lower all their shades and then put on like the goriest horror films you can possibly find. And then
you made it sound like it was some kind of nonchalant bar for a second. I was like, holy shit.
No, Kuma's is a nonchalant bar.
No, I just mean
what's the address for this place so I can go to watch some of these horror movies? No, not that one. The one that does the porn. I want to go to that one.
The porn one?
I point out, the opening credit, the title screen to Each of the Killer is written in dripping semen. So that is not a nonchalant bar to be playing that. That movie starts fucked up and gets worse.
Well, see, like Barton, I'm using your words against you. I remember you saying like you when you're granted it's at dance events, but when you visit a city, you don't want to bother even going to the restaurant because it's a pain in the butt to organize that. And I do agree with you. But Kuma's is a place that I would say is when they're not playing horror films, they're usually blaring metal music. It basically is a metal bar that became the hottest burger joint in the city. So like at minimum at the original one, there's like a 45-minute wait anytime, like even remotely close from like 3 p.m. till midnight. So yeah, it's a good solid list from somebody who hates horror movies. So Oliver.
So I decided to curate my list around a lot of the heavy hitters for the most part, which was kind of what my thought process was. So it's not entirely that, but it took me a while, and I'll admit this on air here that I changed the movie that I was going to use. I changed it about 3 times. And I only settled on House because Kenny actually threatened to shoot me, which is fine. I probably would have deserved it.
Although to be completely honest, we probably all were doing that. We just had set ours on the chat. I think you were the only one that had just had it flipping back and forth on the chat. But I'm willing to bet we were doing the same thing before we actually set it. So Just no,
That's true.
there's definitely no harm in there.
I at first I had one of the things on my I'll mention those later because actually the two of the movies that I selected initially that I was going to pick, I ended up reshuffling and they ended up in my honorable mentions because there were movies I forgot and I kind of reorganized. So I went with Evil Dead / Evil Dead 2 as one. I love Sam Raimi and I love Evil Dead so much, especially Army of Darkness, but it's not a horror film truly. It's really more like a period adventure type thing with horror elements in it. Whereas Evil Dead is a true straight horror movie and Evil Dead 2 is a comedy. It's basically, and it has most of Sam Raimi's best stuff of him just being a total goober and aping a lot of stuff from the Three Stooges throughout the movies. And if you've never seen Evil Dead, shame on you first. And second, they're great. They're genuinely funny and very innovative gore and all that kind of stuff. Very gory, even still to current standards and especially considering that the movies each cost maybe like $7 to make. I can't believe that they were able to do some of the stuff that they did. But that's why K&B Effects, Nicotero, Berger, and Kurtzman, I think were the names. That's why they're very famous in the special effects community because they've been able to do so much with such a small budget. Because they do all the makeup on Walking Dead, for example. So they ended up doing like a major and good makeup thing. So and that's where they get started around with Evil Dead. So they're just fantastic movies. I love them so much. Phantasm is one that I considered picking as my movie. It is very strange and but it has this fantastic quality that I don't think a lot of movies are able to do or they're able to grasp and make, where it feels like it's a very dreamy movie and it feels almost like you're having a nightmare or a dream, like a hallucinatory type thing, because Suspiria kind of has this, and like the original Carrie, like they have this sort of feeling of a dreamlike quality, and it's just such a fantastic little movie that nothing is like it, and it's weird and predates a lot of these movies on this list, which is wild too. And not as many people have heard of it.
If I remember correctly, some of that is also some particular effect they create on the lens of Phantasm. Mm-hmm. It gets copied, that effect gets copied in other movies. But I'd have to go back and look at what exactly that is that they're doing that does that.
That makes sense. I actually, and that's actually something I love. The set design, like the mortuary itself and everything, is all really good. And the death balls are sweet. Like everything in the movie is cool. And it just has this, it has this extremely dated feeling, but in like a great way. And the fact that like they wanted to go for sort of this nightmare feeling type movie where it's not as much in your face gore as some of the other slasher movies that came out around the same time, but it's more of like a nightmare, and I really appreciate that. The original Alien I have on here, it is just an excellent film. Like there's not really much to say about it other than that it's so good. So we watched Prometheus. There's a reason that this is the most successful horror franchise of all time, monetarily. Depending on how you look at it, if you want to look at straight horror, like you could, it might change a little bit, but I think this is the only horror franchise that actually is in the billions in worldwide box office overall. I could be talking totally out of my ass, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on that.
We'll double check those numbers and get back to you. I think you're correct.
I think if you look at it from like pure horror, like I think it's like Halloween or Friday the 13th are like the most successful. But if you look at it just as like a franchise that has horror sort of as a backpin of it, because I guess people would argue Alien is more of a sci-fi that has horror elements, and so that. But if you look at it as a horror, I think it's the most successful. Anyway, Alien is great and is just it's left its impact, an indelible impact for such a movie that is just a Friday the 13th movie in space. Is basically what it is, and it's fantastic. It just works. It works. I went with Deep Red from Dario Argento. Suspiria is fantastic as well. Deep Red is, I want to say Deep Red is before Suspiria. I think Suspiria is like, what is it, 77? Yeah, I think Deep Red is like 74 or 75, and it is one of his pure giallo movies, the slasher type murder mysteries that are always around like things that people see or don't remember seeing, and that's always the undercurrent of every one of these movies, that someone sees something that they can't comprehend, or something along that nature, that is sort of that they have the answer to what's going on, but they don't know what it is, or they can't comprehend it. And Deep Red is another one that's like that, where because there's a little bit of that in Suspiria too, but Deep Red is like that too, with just very, very interesting kills, very effective gore. These Italian horror movies are great because they're so lush too. When you look at them, the set design is so good, and the blood is like what was that?
Ferrari red.
It's like, yeah, it's ridiculous the shade of red that the blood is in these movies.
They're just like, screw it.
It's paint. Like, it looks like paint, and it's ridiculous. Suspiria is that way too. It's so good. It's just like it's delectable. I feel like I need to, as I take the movie out of its case, I feel like I need to hold my pinky up like this. Like, it feels like it's just like it's just, yeah, chef kiss, like gourmet horror is what the Italian horror movies feel like, genuinely. And Deep Red, not as much. It's not as sumptuous as like some of the stuff in Suspiria, because Suspiria is the best one. But Deep Red is clever and ingenious, and I love the score is fantastic. Goblin in all of his movies kills it every time, and the main theme for that is fantastic, and it's so funky. There's a lot of bass. It's like a 70s song. I'm like, what the hell is this doing as the theme song for a horror movie? This doesn't belong here. But I'm like, oh, this is an Argento film. Of course, it's got some stupid music from Goblin that doesn't make any sense, but it's perfect for this movie. Deep Red is great, though. Prince of Darkness, I went with... I didn't put the Thing on my list here because I thought almost like it's not fair, and that it's like an unspoken thing. Like, so I went with, like, there's no point. I didn't want to waste I didn't want to waste a slot on the Thing, because I figured that we were all just going to pick the Thing. No, I mean, like, I figured we were all going to pick the.
I know.
And it would be number one on my list, but I was like, well, rather than that, I'll put Prince of Darkness on, which is the unofficial, or the stylistic or tonal sequel to The Thing in his trilogy of apocalypse movies, because you have The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness, which could have also gone on this list. But Prince of Darkness is great, and it's this great feeling of dread, and like that you're truly fighting against the forces of evil, that are like, the forces of evil are at the door, and this feels like a global catastrophe. I don't understand how this movie, for being so small and taking place in one set and in one location, can feel like it's a global, like, this is going to be the end of the world. There's so much dread in this movie, and I genuinely feel like this is it. And this is John Carpenter was completely insane at this point, basically, because he was like, I'm studying quantum physics, but I also still want to keep making horror movies. So why don't I make a religious horror movie based in quantum physics? And I was like, oh, okay, John Carpenter. And yet, even with all that ridiculous premise, it's great. It functions so well. Donald Pleasance is in it, and he's great. And what is his name? He's in a few of his other movies, because he's also in Big Trouble in Little China. I can't remember the actor's name. That's the teacher across from Donald Pleasance. I cannot remember his name. But he's fantastic in this as well. And just everything about it. Yeah, everything about the movie is great. Which is probably what I'm going to say about basically everything on here.
Yeah.
I love this movie, and it's great.
Keep going.
Right. So The Shining. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm dragging, and I gotta talk faster. The Shining.
Yeah, I'm not doing my job of saying horror movies are stupid. Move on.
Tom, you had one job to do.
The Shining, I think, is the only film that could compete. Personally, in my opinion, it's the only film that I would say competes with The Thing as the greatest horror film of all time. Personally, I think The Shining is a terrible adaptation of a Stephen King novel made by a man who did not understand or choose to understand or comprehend anything supernatural or anything to do with anything outside of cold, hard reality. And for someone who is so stupid in that way, Kubrick is able to make such a good movie, and I don't understand it. Because he takes a truly supernatural novel, which is 100% a supernatural thing occurring in the hotel, and changes it into something that it isn't that. And yet the movie still succeeds, and I don't understand how he's able to do that. It's just fantastic, and there's so many things you could talk about the faked moon landing interpretations, the mistreatment of Native Americans as an undercurrent in the movie too. There's so much going on in this movie that is probably mostly unintentional and people reading things in that isn't supposed to be there. But maybe not, because Kubrick likes to think every one of his shots in every movie is a painting. So maybe everything is really there. But the movie's fantastic. It's great. Jack Nicholson's great. So on and so forth. I'm going to skip House.
Real quick on that one.
Sorry.
I was going to say, it's not surprising because Kubrick, every movie he ever made was adapted from a book, and it was nothing like the book.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Strangelove was based on a serious novel that was seriously concerned with like the Cold War and nuclear annihilation. So I was gonna say that like his ability to misunderstand books is responsible for every great masterpiece he's ever made. Every movie he's made is adapted from a book, and it's nothing like the book from everything I've read. And I was gonna quickly agree with you. Like, as far as heavy hitters go, that is a hard one to ever argue against. And it's one of the few horror films that I don't like watching. It's so dreadful. I don't watch it for fun.
I actually it is one of those things. I can look at the effectiveness of this movie, especially, as the fact that I am still unsettled by it as many times as I've watched it, and as many everything. The score, everything in this movie. And it has maybe my favorite edited scene in any film ever, where it says like Saturday, and then it shows Danny and Shelley Duvall running around outside throwing snowballs at each other, and then instantly smash cuts inside to Jack Nicholson staring off into the middle distance as the camera slowly pushes in on him, and then it just says Sunday, and then it goes to the next scene. It's maybe like a 15-second scene, and it's so weird. And doesn't fit into this movie at all, but it's just like, look at how insane he's gone at this point. Anyway,
real quick before you go,
yep.
Got a good comment from Steven. Yeah, when Stephen King decided to adapt his own material, we got Maximum Overdrive.
So, in defense, I think Maximum Overdrive is okay. I don't think that it is as bad as people think it is, but it is certainly not an excellent film. I will agree with that. Now, I also think it's funny that as good as all of the Stephen King stuff is, there's so few directors that can actually adapt them successbly. Yeah. There's maybe 2 directors that have done it right, because you've got like Rob Reiner and Frank Darabont have been the only ones really consistently that have been able to adapt them, which I thought was wild. Anyway, moving on to my list.
I have a question on the chapter 1, but we can do that. Later. Go ahead, knock out your last one.
Okay. So House, I don't want to talk about too much. That was my pick. So you'd think I would talk more about this one. I'm actually not going to talk much about this one, other than to say my goal with my pick was to pick something that was so out of left field and so much different than anything that you have ever seen. This is a movie in the Criterion Collection. This movie is absolutely fucking insane, and I can't figure out the words to describe this movie other than please just watch this movie. It is ridiculous. The best way I can describe it is, imagine if Evil Dead 2 or like Army of Darkness, like that kind of tone, where it's funny, but it's not funny like haha, like the comedy writing of like Tucker and Dale versus Evil or like Shaun of the Dead, where it's like comedy writing, where it's funny because it's like weird. So imagine that type of movie made in Japan. And take the way that Japanese movies are made and take that type of thing, and that's what House is. And it's from like 1977. It's fucking nuts. You guys are in for a fucking ride with this movie. I will say one thing from it to prepare you for it. The character names are literally what their genre trope is. Literally, they don't have actual names. It's like Sport, I think, is like one of them, and like Pretty. Literally, those are the characters' names in this movie. It's so good.
I wonder if there's a relationship with that with Hentai Kamen, which which if we do another superhero movie listicle, Hentai Kamen is getting on that one.
All right, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Tom talked about it already. Dream Warriors. I think it's great. I think it's the best of the Nightmare films, with the exception of maybe the first one and maybe Final or a New Nightmare. I think that it's the same kind of thing. The stakes just feel big. This is what I think works in an effective sequel, because it feels like a continuation of the first film. And because a lot of people say don't even pay attention to the second film, but I would actually like to talk about the second film at some point, because it's interesting. Since the second film, it's one of the first of the sequels to like the major Hollywood slasher movies. Yeah. And the fact that they took such a weird risk by making the movie a metaphor about homosexuality is very weird, because Freddy is the main character's homosexual urges basically trying to get out. It's very strange. The movie's not very good, but it's a very interesting idea. And so that's why I say you've got Nightmare 1, and then Nightmare 3 is really a direct sequel to Nightmare 1, it feels like. And Nightmare 3 is exactly what a sequel should be, where it raises the stakes. And it almost feels like Freddy is becoming like a huge danger on like a massive scale in this movie, because everybody is at risk. Because on Elm Street, it felt like it was on Elm Street, whereas here in this movie, it feels like this could become a problem even bigger than Elm Street. And it's just really well done and well put together. The kills are fantastic, and I care about literally every single character in the movie. And that is a very important hallmark for a good horror film, I think, especially these slasher movies where you've got where we're supposed to be rooting for Freddy. This movie does not let you root for Freddy. Freddy says funny stuff, but you don't root for him. I still root for all of these characters, and I think that that's great.
All right, so can you do the? Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
No, I was going to make a challenge for the next two. So go on.
Okay. Friday Part 6 is Vartan pretty much summed up everything that I felt about it. It's the best of the Jason movies, and it is silly. I cannot remember what the book was, but there's there's a shot in the movie of a girl when they're all in their cabins, and the girl and everybody's asleep. One of them has like their little dolly, and like everybody's has all their protection, and one of the girls has like I cannot remember the book, but it's like Machiavelli. She's like a 9-year-old girl, and like she's holding like a philosophy book or something. I can't remember. And it's like, why does she have this? And it's because this is the first and only time really in the Friday the 13th movies where they realize these movies are stupid. So why don't we intentionally make it stupid and ridiculous? Let's have people's faces go through metal walls, different stuff like that. It's great. I love it. It's great. I'm happy we're watching it. It's fantastic. And last on my main list was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one. It's the original, more or less the original slasher film. It is a dark comedy. It's great. Everything about it, feels scummy and weird. Leatherface is incredible. Everything about the movie is great. And it's one of the first movies, I think, that intentionally makes a character for you to hate, with the one in the wheelchair. Like, he's intentionally, you're like,
gosh.
kill this guy. And I just love the movie. It sets the tone for like everything that comes after it, and it's fantastic, and I love it. It's like one of the heaviest of heavy hitters, and it's fantastic.
Scummy is a good word to describe it. If a movie could be described as sweaty, I think it would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's a sweaty, scummy, just dirty feeling movie.
I feel like I need I feel like I haven't showered when I watch that movie. I'm like, I need to take a shower. Like this is so gross.
Yeah, Vartan, do you want to go ahead and give your quick thoughts on Ollie's list?
It's a great list. Like heavy hitters are heavy hitters. I think that would be almost harder for me. I had to theme my list because it's so hard to pick. But no, I think it's a good list. I love The Shining. Like I said, it's one of the few horror films I don't watch for fun. That's how effective it is because I like horror films. I used to watch them when I had insomnia to help me go to sleep. I'm a weird kid when it comes to horror. The Shining.
Yeah, and the
I had no idea about that, and I'm gonna watch that.
Go check that out, and everyone needs to read the behind the scenes on Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's bananas everything that went on to have that one, the budget they were on, and then two, the conditions on that set. You talk about sweaty and grimy. It really was sweaty and grimy, disgusting on that set for sure. I love this list. I didn't put Alien. Oh, go ahead, Bard.
The last thing I was going to say is read If Chins Could Kill, the autobiography of the star of Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, where he talks about
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. I read his book. I was spacing his name.
Mine is signed by Bruce Campbell. That made me so happy because I met him and he signed it.
It is such a good book where they talk about how like they invented film techniques on that set because they were like, we don't have money for a dolly. Let's just attach it to two boards, and that's how you get that like amazing POV shot through the forest. Like so many techniques were invented out of necessity and being broke. And his stories of being on set, that was like the one main thing I was going to add is fucking read Bruce Campbell. He's hilarious, and he elucidates so much of what went on those sets. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Cool. And I think I got most of mine out for what I said for Ollie. You and me, we definitely could have gone back and forth in John Carpenter films, what to put on his list. We could have been here forever. So definitely, like I put a note. I ended up dropping notes on a bunch of these. I'm like, damn, that was a good choice. Dang, that was, definitely agree. I didn't put Alien on mine because I thought someone else would get it on there as well. And I felt like I was definitely could have been diving into sci-fi horror for a long time there too. And then I already said for Texas Chainsaw, just I love everything that went in to create that. Just complete chaos, grimy, extra film grain. It's awesome. And then my last thing I'll say for The Shining, I definitely agree into Dread. The other reason it's hard for me to rewatch that too is there's just a lull for me in the middle of the film, and it has been a little bit since I've rewatched it. But I might want to go back and re-examine that spot in the middle of the film and see, like, is it more of a dread that I'm having, or am I just kind of getting is it really just a lull that's kind of putting me to sleep in the middle of it before things pick back up toward the last half. But all right, Tom, I guess did you have any thoughts before that? No, or I can just jump around.
Actually, some good solid choices. Anything with Bruce Campbell, I'm good for. Phantasm always fascinated me as a kid. The Shining is just a solid film, period. And actually, that's one of the things I like about The Shining is, other than some moments of gore, it really relies on the storytelling to draw out your dread. That's maybe one of the things about horror that has always bothered me is a lot of people rely on the shock of, oh, look, guts are flying out or something. Or we need more Vaseline on this scene so that we can make this look even more slimy. Whereas in The Shining, what scares me about it is the insanity that develops, not the scary things that you see. And curious about House, you got a Friday, or you got a Jason movie, you got a Freddy movie. That's solid. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, yes, that is a solid gore film. On to you, Kenneth. Can you do 1 minute per?
I'll take the challenge. So real quick, The Thing, my dad the dad is an asshole. This is the only time. That's really the only time I'll call him an asshole is because he knew I loved sci-fi and was talking about how creepy the thing was, and really should have said it was a horror film. Now I still ended up loving it, and just being enthralled by it, but everything that broke down in that movie was terrifying to hell out of me. So it was this awkward, God, I'm invested because it's because dad's hitting my sci-fi nerve, but I'm want to shit my pants about it's did that head just pop up? Did it just? And then it just, if you know what I'm talking about, the spider leg pop, and just amazing all around. Definitely maybe love Kurt Russell as an actor in that film too, because I think that might have been my first Kurt Russell film that I'd ever seen before I saw anything else of his. Before Big Trouble in Little China and stuff afterwards. So yeah, that's super quick on the thing. Suspiria, I did not like it the first time I watched it. I was confused. I didn't have the taste for Italian horror yet. When my friends showed it to me, and I was like, what the hell did I just watch? And then when I put it back in the lens of okay, think about Italian horror / and just over the topness, then I was like, okay, I got it. All right, I get what you're doing, Dario. Got it. Cool. And then score-wise, also, I think it's definitely needs to be talked about more. The score for Suspiria, the chants that are happening in it, and you're just kind of well, I know what that means. Something's about to happen. Where's it gonna come from? Let's see. So I think y'all forgot I had Tom. We were talking about Candyman, but I have Halloween on my list. So I'm just I like Halloween more than I do Freddy or Jason. But at the bottom of my list is Halloween. So that's why. So for when it really comes to slasher films, Halloween is where it's at for me. Another John Carpenter. Surprise. But back to Candyman, I love the folklore story that's happening there and how they continue to flesh that out for the entire movie. And when I forget what the woman's name is, that's just getting more and more as she dives and learns more about the story. It's just getting you're getting, you don't realize it, but you're getting pulled into. And even when you do start to realize it, it's too late. You're screwed. So I kind of sometimes can just love being your own demise in these films. Saw, it's unfortunate the other movies exist because if they didn't, I think a lot of people would have more appreciation for the first Saw, because I think it is a good balance of what we kind of call the torture porn stuff now, being this kind of this mystery. And really trying to figure out what Jigsaw is all about. Was it? The twist at the end, which I won't spoil for anyone that hasn't watched it. At the time, that was it was in classic horror end scene twists. I thought it ranks right up there with some of the best end scene twists. I think I'll leave it right there. But I think, had the other movies not come out, we'd appreciate this one a lot more. And I loved it for what it was, especially also on a very short budget and getting some bigger hitters in there of Danny Glover and Carrie Hughes. The Orphanage. Everyone talks about other Guillermo del Toro films, and this is not a del Toro film. He helped produce on it. This was a J.A. Banyera film, but I love Spanish horror. Spanish horror is great. Give me more of that. I'll eat it up. And the
Devil's Backbone.
Yeah. And then the movie's actually not that scary as far as jump scares or anything like that. They kind of lull you into this false sense of security and then hit you hard with certain moments, right? So you kind of oh, that's creepy. That's creepy. Oh, it seems like things are settled. Oh, fun. And I love when someone can get me to just start to kind of sit back in the seat and feel like I'm good, and then get me 2 or 3 times in the film. So I appreciate that. We've talked a bunch about Event Horizon. So again, it goes back into, I love it for the alien, sci-fi horror, things like that. And I think it's been talked about more recently, but there was a time period during the early or the mid 2000s where I think Event Horizon should have got more acclaim or attention, and I'm glad it's getting that attention attention now. Goodnight Mommy, story of two brothers or twin brothers dealing with a change in their mother. She goes through plastic surgery, and they can't handle the change she's had. So it plays off like psychological thriller for a little bit until they just go off the deep end, and I love it. Let's see, and Jeepers Creepers, I secretly find very hilarious. I know it's not meant. It's not really meant as a comedy, and it kind of goes back into like that folklore thing. I love good folklore horror stories, so that's why it resonates really well with me. But there's just some things that was it not Justin Thomas. I can't the dodgeball
Justin
kid.
Long.
Justin Long, yeah. It's got an early Justin Long in it. Appreciate his performance in it. And then just this but I feel like even if there's some moments that are comedic in it. There's just like I think it has a really good sense of dread the entire time of like I don't think you're gonna be able to get away from this, and then having to make that decision there toward the end of how they're gonna end it. But you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend. Like I love that give up that happens there at the end. Cool. Children of the Corn. I needed a creepy kid movie. I had Goodnight Mommy on there, but I really needed to get into some like cult shit and make sure that was represented well in here. And we get a Peter Weller, we get a RoboCop. Yeah. And shit, who's Linda Hamilton? I think yeah, it's Linda Hamilton. So we get Sarah Connor and RoboCop teaming up to go through this chaos together. If I remember correctly, I might have the actress wrong. I could have it wrong. And then real quick on Halloween 1978, it is my favorite slasher film, bar none. I don't feel like they pull any punches with it. I think it's a very solid, clean film. It's got John Carpenter's eye, great score from John Carpenter. Like it is like when you think of a horror film. And you think of the classic slasher score, like, I mean, if Halloween's not top 5, top 3, I just don't know. I just don't know what is. I mean, honestly. So yeah, and I'll keep that super short. So there you go.
Awesome.
Can I plug something real quick that I think you would love?
Yeah.
So Candyman is a great pick, and there's a fucking phenomenal documentary on Shudder called Horror Noir, and it's basically all about blackness and horror. And Candyman obviously comes up a lot for how important it is to having it's like a black slasher flick. You really didn't get that. And I would recommend that documentary to anybody who's interested in movie history, horror movie history, or black history. It is so fucking good. And I'm really glad you put Candyman on there. When I saw that, I was like, that's one of the few choices I was upset I didn't make. Every other choice, I was like, I thought about it, but I didn't make it, or I didn't see it. But Candyman, I was like, fuck, that's a good one. That was a really good one.
Plus, it has Kern.
Your list is great. I like it a lot.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think Candyman's fantastic. It's like the most upsetting horror movie I watched it again recently, and I was immensely bothered by how.
Did you pick a body snatcher movie at all?
No.
Oh God! I guess you could count the thing, but you could have put like Slither or some. Oh gosh.
Actually, no. Actually, I think technically, Terror Vision is a bit of a body snatcher.
Yeah.
I'd count Terror Vision and The Thing, honestly.
Yeah, cool. All right. See, this list is hard. Trying to get everything covered. It's impossible. All right. Yeah, before we wrap, do we got any more comments from Facebook, YouTube, or the Twitch stream? Anybody? Bueller.
That's your last chance to ever have an opinion.
Yeah. So we are gonna. The reason we wanted to talk about these and also give like access to our honorable mentions is because we want to help you expose you to more horror movies. And obviously, we could talk about this for a long time. These lists, even our honorable mentions list, could have gotten way longer. So this is just hopefully to come join us this Saturday and get exposed to some things that are some of our faves. But also feel free to take these lists and you got Letterboxd as a film app that you can put these on and see other people's reviews and just kind of see how other people think about them as you watch along. A lot of these will be available streaming on different places. And again, if you don't have access to them on streaming, we will make these available for you when you watch the marathon. So again, the marathon doesn't cost you anything. Come join us Friday night for the thing. Come join us. And you don't have to start and stay for the entire thing. Pop in and out. Some are even people here are gonna have to pop in and out throughout the marathon, just because life is life, But yeah, definitely want y'all to come enjoy these films with us. If you're not into horror, though, the only other thing we got going on, Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 3, so you can watch that Thursday night. And then Friday, technically, The Mandalorian Season 2 premiere kicks off. So, and we tend to like The Mandalorian around here. I think it's nice to have a good space western. I could pick some things about it, but I'm not going to do that. I generally like it. I won't... It's a
better space. It's a better space western than Firefly because it got a second season.
Yep.
Ouch. I mean, is it wrong though?
Nope.
I don't know. A lot of people call it a space western, but it's also a space samurai film. It doesn't get enough credit for being so heavily indebted to samurai films.
To me, most westerns are ripoffs of samurai films. So,
my favorite movie is Seven Samurai, so I agree. A lot of it is ripping off Kurosawa.
Yes, that's a fuck. All right, sorry. I
was gonna say that it's all these westerns that have aped Kurosawa.
That's the other thing. People kept saying, the originality argument people kept making for The Mandalorian of oh, this is great, and I have him shut the fuck. It's not only, and it goes those layers deep. It's not only is it ripping from westerns, but they also made direct Kurosawa references in the fucking show. I didn't see that.
But The Mandalorian, I think, proves that originality is not a good it's not an unassailable good. You can be good and be completely unoriginal.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, good and original are not the same thing. There's nothing original about The Mandalorian. It's so fucking good, though.
Yeah, and it's fine. I just want people to give credit where it's due, right?
Yeah.
It's like we just said, let's route back to Kurosawa. Don't just stop at westerns, and then don't stop at westerns when they make a Kurosawa reference.
Yes, there's a reason why art is derivative of itself, and because the stuff that isn't derivative usually doesn't work for very long. So yeah, celebrate it, but also give them freaking credit. But I will say the only reason I usually associate it as a space western more so than a space samurai is one, because you don't talk about space samurai too much, but two, all the dust. Every planet he goes to is dusty.
Yeah, that's true.
Even the swamp planet, there was dust.
Doesn't he actually have furs too?
I think so. There definitely is.
Or some of the Mandalorians do.
Some of them have spurs. Yeah, that's right.
And I definitely have. I think I've heard spur noises when he's walked. So.
Or wearing furs or some cloth over
yep.
to communicate that rustic feel.
I've got spurs that jingle, jingle, jingle.
All right, so our honorable mentions list will be made available for everyone. I will let you all. You can say something about one on your list. You can talk.
Yes.
You can say the whole list now if you want to, but you can say something about one thing on your honorable mention list. Just that way, so we can wrap up. So I think Vartan is on there first. So pick the one you want to talk about, but you can tell people your whole list. But again, these will be made. So if you don't hear it now, these will be made available to everyone on the website and on the Facebook page.
I was going to say real quick, Mandy is an incredible movie. It's weird that it's on my honorable mentions because it also could be number one on my entire fucking list. I watch it every couple months. It is gorgeous, has amazing sound design, has a rare Nicolas Cage where he's at his craziest, but also he's good. It's good and crazy Nicolas Cage. It is extreme It's amazing in every way. And I'll break your rule really quickly. The other movie I was going to mention is The Invitation is on Netflix.
Wait, no. Where's the mute button? Where's the presidential mute button?
I just don't. It's
But it's on Netflix. That's the other one where I'm like, watch that movie because it's on Netflix. It's so easy. With Mandy, you have to download it, buy it, or have Shudder. But yeah, it is so fucking good looking, good sounding.
Which one is this?
Mandy.
Okay.
And the burn scene is fucking horrifying.
yeah.
The more I talk about it, the more I realize it like I don't know how it's not on my list, but it's like it was either going to be first or 11th. That's how fucking weird it was for me, but it's really, really fucking good. And I hope people check it out.
Cool. Ollie.
I'll say the names in my thing. I'm only going to talk about. I'll only mention really very, very minimal amount. VHS2, Black Christmas, the original slasher film that, as much as I like John Carpenter's Halloween, ripped off basically everything from Black Christmas.
So that's your one. So that's your one.
Hold on. Behind the Mask.
So that was your one, right?
Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. It Follows, Devil's Candy, Beyond the Gates, Halloween sequel, remake, whatever you want to call it, from 2018, The Void, Phenomena, and Life Force. Behind the Mask and Life Force were two movies that at one time were my choice for the marathon. That was the only thing I wanted to mention about them. Life Force is a very strange, another movie made by Tobe Hooper. Very, very strange. So all I will say is that it was based on a novel called The Space Vampires. And that is literally what the movie was based on. And that tells you all you need to know about the movie. Heavily influenced by Alien. Very good. Behind the Mask is also a really good deconstructive horror film like Scream is.
Mm-hmm.
And like Tucker and Dale. Probably in between, probably about the same tonally as Scream. It's not a pure comedy at all, but it's a documentary, mockumentary, shot like a documentary, where they're interviewing a killer who is going to be the next Freddy or Jason. That's what and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to show you how it's done," and he talks about like the different terms and stuff like that I use now that I don't think that they were terms before this movie. Like the Ahab is the name is what they call like Dr. Loomis, the character who's like the one who's from the main character's past that's like trying to warn people, but also is like the only thing that can stop him. The term for that, by the way, is the Ahab. So there you go. Whenever you hear that character, that's what that's called. And that's all I was going to say about my list. I was just going to say those two movies were selections of mine.
So Kenneth, why don't you break your own rules?
I'm definitely going to break my own rule now. Since, definitely agree with Vartan and everything on Mandy, so I won't say anything else on that. And we both had that on our honorable mention. I wanted everyone to see Suspiria, the original, but I have to give nods to the 2019 one because it's bonkers. I love everything they did in that. The Thing 2011, and really the only reason it's on here is just because I think it was a good attempt, and the CGI in it, had they gone back to standards that were done in the original, I think this movie would be a lot better. Did it need to be made? No, probably not. I think given a lot of things that have come out around the time, it comes out a lot better than a lot of crap we've gotten. So Halloween 2017 I already talked about. Again, it was just I think Rob Zombie did a good attempt there as well. And the last one I want to talk about is Prom Night 2. And the reason it's on here, effect wise, it's very impressive. Again, it got picked up in Canada, so a lot of people didn't get to watch it or haven't watched like Prom Night 2, 3, and 4. People seen Prom Night the original because it was an American film, but then it got picked up the other three in Canada. But it has some of the best horror effects that have ever been recorded on screen. And there's this one where the main character gets pulled through this chalkboard water effect, and I know how they did it, and I still look at it and like, holy shit, that holds up today. So yeah, if for nothing else, people should watch it for the effects. The story is still pretty solid in my estimation, but some of the best effects that have ever been put on screen.
All right. Well, I'll yield most of my time to Kenneth, other than mentioning that I was already spent at the end of my list, so I only have two, and they were both put in there ironically, because the first one is the Fred Durst sex tape. Because what's more horrifying than the idea of having sex with Fred Durst? And the other one is, and the other one was Scary Movie. Because I'm going to break the rule. No, I'm not going to break the rule. The other one is Scary Movie. So,
All right.
don't use my list.
Or not your honorable mention list.
Yes, my honorable mention.
Your actual list is fine.
My dishonorable mentions.
Cool. Folks, so we'll be posting that list, words. The marathon list in the event, so you can definitely see what's coming up. We don't have specific times when things are going to happen, so definitely join the Discord channel. Make sure you're on that Facebook event so you see, like, because I'll post an update, like, hey, this one's getting ready to start in about 15 minutes, or we got like 10 minutes left on the movie that we're on. And I will put the run times by it, so you'll generally have an idea of it, but again, it could kind of be a little bit off because run times also include your credits, so we might end up stopping a little bit shorter. We were able to get a little bit of break in there, but not a ton. We were just trying to maximize the movies that can be seen and just go. So if you need to take a restroom break or grab lunch or something like that, you do that on your own time. You just have to kind of pick and choose when you do it. I'm going to be.
I highly recommend training your bathroom breaks now. Go for speed.
I plan to be there most of the time, but no guarantees. But we will always have a Nerd Union member there to help manage the chat and make sure the movies are playing and stuff. So, all right, cool. Any last go-arounds? I think we all got it.
I have a last thing. I was just going to say thank you for having me, because this has been a whole lot of fun. Yeah. And also, that new Tremors on Netflix is surprisingly not terrible. Those are my last final comments.
All right.
I can't wait for us to do this next month for Thanksgiving movies. And
you know that's why people pass over Thanksgiving, right? Because there aren't good Thanksgiving movies, and there's no good Thanksgiving songs.
Oh, that's
Wait,
true.
No, there might be.
Unless it's like Chance of Killing Brown People, it probably ain't any good.
No, there's a Pauly Shore movie that I think is a Thanksgiving movie. When he
lost me at Pauly Shore.
Oh, please.
Biodome?
Wow. I'm sorry, but like of all the weird esoteric shit, you don't like Pauly Shore. Come on, man.
Hey,
what kind of hipster are you?
I like Ichi the Killer, not Pauly Shore. Come on.
That was the line. Pauly Shore was the line.
I've heard Pauly Shore is Dead is amazing. I wish that I had. I wish one of these days I'll actually watch that movie. I heard it's really good.
It's like Carrot Top, Pauly Shore, Paula Gladstone. Who else is in that odd?
The Beastie Boys, aren't they in there too? I think.
Probably.
Cool. All right. Thanks, folks, for joining us. We know we went a little long here, but hopefully, and when you come back to rewatch it, this will all be broken up in nice little digestible videos. So,
yes. Oh, also, Son-in-Law, I think is the name of the movie that might be a Pauly Shore Thanksgiving film.
I think you're right.
Yes, it is.
I think you're right.
Having gotten a taste of college life, a drastically changed farm girl returns home for Thanksgiving with her best friend, a flamboyant party animal.